Okay guys, today we're going to be talking about two topics. The first one is called integers. And integers are basically whole counting numbers that include negative numbers. So any number that would fall on a number line, the standard number line, that's a whole number, is an integer. And up to this point you've dealt with just the positives, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way as high as you can count, all the way to infinity. Well, now we're going to throw a different concept in. With the integers, we have the negative numbers. So any number that you could count on the positive side of the number line, to the right of 0, you could also count to the left of 0, and they descend as you go farther away from 0 to the left. So the farther away from 0 you get to the left, the higher the number gets, and they just happen to have a negative symbol. So you go from 0 to -1, -2, -3, -4, and you can think of negatives in several different ways. You can think of it as temperature below 0, so this would be 1 degree below 0. 2 degrees below 0 would be colder than 1 degree below 0. It's farther away from 0. You could think of it as owing somebody money. You owe them $1. If you're a -1 balance, and we went to BizTown, you can remember how you wanted to make sure that you had positive money in your bank accounts, but if you owe too much, you could be in debt. So -$1, -2, 3, and this side of the number line, the left-hand side of 0, goes all the way to negative infinity. So as far as you can count, you can add a negative sign. Now obviously in between 0 and -1, there's some fractional numbers, but they're not included in the integers. We will deal with those later, but for right now, all you have to remember is the whole numbers, and when they're to the left of 0, they have a negative symbol. The next concept is a little bit tricky just because you've never heard about it before, but it's not too hard to understand. Absolute value is a term that we will use when we're talking about integers, and what absolute value is the distance away from 0. So if you're using a number line, however far away from 0 you get, that is the absolute value. Now, distance is always positive. You never measure negative distance. So you can't go -3 steps backwards. You still went 3 steps. You just happen to be going in the opposite direction that you wanted to go. So absolute value is always positive. It's a measure of distance from 0 as your starting point. And the way that you indicate absolute value is they use these bars. Oh, these are not ones. They're a little bit bigger so that they don't get confused with ones. But you put those bars on both sides of the number, and that indicates that you want the absolute value of that number. Well, the absolute value of -8 is really just 8, because that's the distance from 0. If I wanted to find out what the absolute value of -3 would be, I would start at 0 and I'd say 1, 2, 3. So the distance between these 2 points is just 3. Even though we happen to be going on the number line 3 units to the left, I'm still going 3 steps. I just happen to be going in to the left, the negative numbers. You can also think of it as distance on a football field. So guys, whenever you get sacked behind the line of scrimmage, it's a loss of yards, but you still had to go that many yards the opposite way from your goal. So these are two concepts that we'll work on this week. Once we get these down, we'll start adding and subtracting and then multiplying and dividing. But two basic concepts, two pretty easy concepts to understand at the beginning of the week. Using a number line really helps. So if you have to draw a number line, you can. But just remember, with absolute value, it's always going to be positive. No matter what the number is inside of those bars, it's always going to be a positive answer. It doesn't matter if you have the absolute value of 1 million, it's still going to be positive, and your answer is going to be 1 million. So, just a couple things to remember. We'll watch the Brain Pop video. Hopefully this helps. Good luck. I'll see you in class.